WABC, where New York comes to talk. 77 WABC.
Maybe we can talk all night, but that ain't getting us nowhere. I told you.
Well, you know this one, all-time classic, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, out of Bad Out of Hell. And, of course, Meatloaf is in studio today. He's got a brand-new album tonight, which he's very, very excited about. We're excited to have him here to talk about it. But I did notice here, back on Bernie and Sid with Meatloaf, that when the song came on, Meat, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, maybe your own anthem, you ripped the headset off.
Okay.
And started laughing.
Right.
Okay, I got to explain this to you.
All right.
Can we turn that off?
Yeah, please. I'm begging.
What happened?
Before he leaves.
Okay. See, what happened was that when we did Bad Out of Hell, it was on vinyl. And if you go back to your vinyl records from the 70s and 60s, rock records were like 38 minutes, 39 minutes. Maybe the Beatles had 44. Well, when we went to master, we were close to 52 minutes. And the guy said, well, you're never going to get any volume out of this record. So we had to speed up the record. So every time I hear that, it drives me crazy.
Sure. That makes sense.
And then in the 70s, and the radio station used to also speed it up. So it was already sped up, and then they sped it up.
Oh.
And I sound like Alvin from the Chipmunks.
So we're off to a good start.
No, you're off to a perfect start.
With Meatloaf here. And by the way,
and by the way, just call me Alvin from now on.
Christmas, Christmas, don't be late.
Yes, baby, we can talk all night.
The new album is called Meatloaf, Braver Than We Are. And all songs, it says right on the CD, all songs by Jim Steinman.
That's correct.
Jim Steinman, who collaborated with you on the Bad Out of Hell album. And you guys have had a rocky relationship. Brilliant composer.
That's
not true.
That's not true.
Okay.
That is media, excuse my word,
Bull duty.
crap.
Bull crap.
Okay. So anyway, he's a genius composer, folks.
He's past genius.
Yes, indeed.
He's on the other side of it.
So it doesn't reunite him then with it. It's just another collaboration. You did stop working with him for a time.
Yeah, we take so long to do anything that it's like we took 6 years to make Bat 2.
Right.
So
yeah.
It's like and we talk by email constantly. I mean, I'll get home, I'll have 16 emails from him.
Wow.
It's like he's like, this record's driving him crazy at the moment. He wants to know, what are we selling here? What are we selling?
Sure.
What number are we in England? Where are we in Germany? And and so today I can tell him, we're either 3 or 4 in the UK, we're 7 in Germany, we're 9 in Belgium, and believe it or not, which is like ridiculous, we've never really done anything. We're number 1 in rock in France.
Wow.
Which is
that's huge.
Wow. Well, yeah. And plus, this is the first record we've ever got good reviews for.
And as a matter of fact, Entertainment Weekly labels it, describes it as fascinating and catchy, and it says it's being marketed as your first album because there's some retro songs, some songs that were actually composed back in the day that you put on this particular album.
Yeah, well, Jim Steinman wrote the very first song when he was 19 years old, and it's called "Who Needs the Young."
Right.
So, and the thing about Jim, I have never asked him what he's written a song about. I don't ever want to know.
Right.
I don't want to know why he wrote that.
It's too deep.
No, because I take it another step further. I always backstory it because my study is in acting. And I started here in New York in '69 on Hair on Broadway and did 3 or 4 Broadway and worked for Joe Papp and did Shakespeare in the Park and Rocky Horror. I mean, I had this huge, I had an acting career that was about to take off. And then I met Jimmy and I stopped and we worked on Bat Out of Hell, and Bat Out of Hell came out in October of 77. And before that, everybody hated it. We were turned down by everybody 4 times. When the record finally came out, I knew 10 people that liked it, and everybody hated the record. I mean, they hated it. And they kept saying to me, he's from the theater, you're from the theater, you sound like Ethel Merman. Well, I took that as a compliment.
Yeah, she did pretty well.
Because I love Ethel Merman.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard her sing God Bless America? You'll just give you
one of the greats.
Yeah. But they said to him, you don't know anything about rock and roll. And Jimmy is a rock and roll encyclopedia. He can tell you the B-side of the Jan and Dean single in 1962.
That's pretty good.
By the way, Bat Out of Hell still sells annually to this day, 200,000 copies. More than
nothing sells 200,000 annually to this day. When that kind of press release was put out, that was like in the 90s and early 2000. It probably sells 15 to 20,000.
It gets
Which is still pretty
play.
good.
It gets a lot of play.
I mean, you know what I noticed with guys like you is when they do interviews is, you have this. I mean, you're a legend now. I know Sony.
Don't call me a legend.
Well, Sony said you're the greatest singer ever, which I know you debunked that too. Wow, maybe it's Aretha Franklin, maybe it's Frank Sinatra. Point is, you get your fair share of people saying how great you are, and that album obviously was a big deal for you. But I noticed a lot of big time stars, they don't like to go back. Like you're looking forward to the new album, you want to promote. You don't want to go back to 40 years ago.
That's exact. I didn't know that, and that's good. They don't, because the only thing that matters is right now, what we're doing.
Yeah.
But you
what
wouldn't have
happened
right now
before that I just did something before, that's gone.
But you would admit you wouldn't really have right now if not for what you did before, which was huge and great.
But
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's in the past.
Right.
And I can't live there.
Okay.
I can't live there. I have to go forward. I have to learn something new every day.
How about one quick question about Bat Out of Hell? And
go ahead.
Beloved New York icon Phil Rizzuto, he allegedly got snookered into.
Oh, he did not.
He did not know it was about having sex in a car. He's like a real pure. He's a clean cut guy. The late Phil Rizzuto.
Everybody's been asking me that question lately. That's the biggest hunk of baloney, as Scooter would say. What was that phrase Scooter used
Holy
to say?
cow!
No, he'd call him a. Oh God, I can't forget.
What was that?
Getting
Mike?
old is not for
Huckleberry.
wussies.
Huckleberry.
Huckleberry.
Yes,
yeah. Well, Rizzuto, you old Huckleberry, you knew better than that.
So wait, he alleged that, but you're saying that his allegations were false.
Oh. Yeah, I called him on it.
1,000%. This is no hesitation here.
I called him on it. I mean, I used to go up to Yankees games when I lived in New York. I lived here for 26 years. So after Bat came out, we went down and I presented to Steinbrenner and to the Yankees to go in the dressing room and to Rizzuto to go up in the
press box.
Thank you. We gave them all, when it first went platinum records.
Wow.
So it hung in the dressing room, and I don't know what Steinbrenner did with his. He could have thrown it at the car on the way to the restaurant, for all I know. But it was up in the press box. And so, I mean, the first time I went up, Mercer was doing it with Rizzuto, and he asked me the same question. I said, and I used the word Huckleberry. I said, this Huckleberry's telling you that story? I said, Phil, tell him the truth. And so I did it about 3 times with Phil, and every time I gave him a hard time.
And so he admitted to Bobby Mercer. Another guy that spends a lot of time at Yankee games, talking to the great Meatloaf, and his new album is out, which we're all very, very excited about.
Braver Than We Are.
Yes, we are really
very excited. Another guy that spends a lot of time at Yankee games and a New Yorker, and a guy that you worked with. We do talk politics here. We don't expect you to get deep in the weeds.
We're not going to go to politics.
Right, but you did work with Donald Trump on The Apprentice. Forget about politics, whether you like him or Hillary Clinton or who you're going to vote for. Do you like Donald Trump? Was that fun? Was that a good time? Did you like him?
Well, the funny thing is, I didn't know I was doing The Apprentice. I was shooting a movie in South Carolina, and I thought and they just knocked on my trailer and said, "Okay, you're up." And so I was running out the door, my phone was ringing, I was expecting my wife to call me back. I thought it was my wife. And it was the casting guy they've asked me like before 4 times. I've said no, I don't do that. And so he said, it's Chuck. I went, Chuck who? He goes, Chuck LaBella. They want you to do The Apprentice again. I said, okay, call me back. Okay. And so he took that as an okay, I'll do it.
Right.
And all I meant was, I got to run, call me back. We'll talk about it. And so we're in rehearsal in Connecticut, and my drummer comes down with a newspaper and says, it says you're doing The Apprentice. And I said, I'm not doing The Apprentice. And they're completely insane. Right. So then probably a week later, I guess they printed the pictures of all the people that were going to do it.
It's too late.
And the girl singer comes down and she goes, your picture's in here for doing The Apprentice. I went, oh, wait a second. And so I got on the phone with my rock managers.
Sure.
And I said, it says I'm doing The Apprentice. And they go, yeah, you are. Because he had a couple of his country acts on The Apprentice. And so as The Apprentice went, we knew that John Rich and Marley Matlin were going to be the last 2. So there was still a lot of us left. So we decided at that point, whoever came in number 3 was the real winner. And I came in number 3.
Oh, wow.
So they said they've never seen anybody fired so happy in their whole life. So when he fired me, I got on the elevator and I was going, yeah,
you got the hell out.
Yeah. I was celebrating because I had won.
Right, you won.
Was that was the same season as was that Gary Busey with you on that season?
I don't remember.
You don't remember. You don't remember. You don't care.
No, I can't remember that.
Don't give a rat's ass.
I know. Hey, I don't know. Was he on? I can't remember that.
You told us to call you Meat. What? I mean, how'd you get the name Meatloaf? Why not pot roast a leg of lamb or whatever the hell?
Leg of lamb is a very good one.
Okay, I'll do it again. I do this.
Right.
I've done it the last 2 days, so I might as well do it for you guys.
But you like us more, so
I do.
There you go.
So my dad was a Dallas policeman.
Oh, God bless him.
And when I was born bright red. And they couldn't, my youngest daughter, when she was born red. They put her under some yellow lights, and in a couple hours she wasn't red anymore. Well, I stayed red. And so my dad, I'm in the nursery, and my dad walks in, looks, and goes up to the nurses, goes, I want you to go over there, and I want you to put the name, my son, he looks like 9.5 pounds of ground chuck. And so what I want you to do is I want you to make a name tag for him that says Meat. And I want you to put it right there in that little plastic, slide thing.
Yeah.
And put Meat and then move him to the middle. And I'm sure the nurses went, sir, we can't do that. And I know my dad, believe me. My dad goes, yes, you can.
Right.
So you're going to name Meat. You're going to move him to the middle. And you're going to leave him there so that when everybody comes see their babies, they're going to see Meat.
It was the greatest marketing tool you ever had. Your dad inadvertently marketed you.
What was it? Do you know to this day why you were so red? Was there some type of?
I don't. You have to ask a doctor. Next time you get a doctor on, ask him why babies are born red.
Not ironically, but coincidentally, your dad, a Dallas police officer, you were there at the hospital when John F. Kennedy's body
that's
was
the
brought.
wildest story ever.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I'll tell you this. Then I won't talk about the album.
I'll tell you what. Can you hang out a little bit?
Yeah.
Can we do a couple of spots? You tell us a story.
When you come back and hang out?
Meatloaf,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about the album.
You want me to tell you the story? You want to do spots?
No, I actually will do spots,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk about that.
Okay.
And,
Great.
Meatloaf's the new album is Braver Than We Are. We're coming back on Bernie and Sid with the great Meatloaf.
You got it.
All right, thank you, brother.
Here we go again. 11:06. Back with hour number 2 of the Bernie and Sid show right here on legendary 77 WABC.
Good choice.
Another blast from the past with the new album out, of course. Braver Than We Are by Meatloaf. We've got Meatloaf live in studio. He was kind enough to stick around, and he was great.
You guys are managing to play the 2 songs on the record that really drove me nuts.
I know. We didn't know that before.
I know, but it's not
I feel
your fault.
horrible now.
Do not feel horrible. You didn't know that.
And just so
if
you know,
knew that, then I would come after you.
Right.
Although, even though I can see that you never work out.
never.
No, you never. No, you don't work out
Unlike
at all.
you, Meatloaf.
You got to see this guy. You know what though? But I'd still come after you because when I played football, I was the meanest mother on the team.
I know you are. In fact, I know this for a fact, Bernard, that Meatloaf along the way has had 18 concussions.
Yes.
And the majority of those, 11 of those 18 have come on the football field.
Yeah, 11 of them came on the football field.
And what has Roger Goodell done about it? Nothing. Oh, that's right. You did.
I didn't get to the NFL.
No, you did not.
That's where I wanted to go. I really wanted to go there. When I was a sophomore in high school playing football, I had scholarship offers to Ranger Junior College, and they said, you'll come and finish high school in Ranger High School, and you'll play 2 years for Ranger Junior College, then you'll come over and you'll play another 2 years. So I would have had 4 years of college football, and I would have probably gone on to get to, Alabama, Texas.
Really? What'd you play? What position?
I had a head coach who thought he was, I don't know what he thought. And not many people are going to know this, but we were running a defense that LSU ran called the Chinese Bandits.
You can't use that anymore, by the way.
And that's true. But
we're going to have to dump that.
I don't care because I hate politically incorrect.
That's right.
And so the defenses were so complicated. So in that defense, whatever it was, I played nose guard, middle linebacker, defensive tackle, defensive end, any 4 of those positions.
Wow.
And when I was defensive end, that was the outside linebacker would blitz and I'd cover the flat.
Gotcha.
Because I could laterally, I couldn't run forward very fast, but laterally I was fast as anybody in the team.
Wow.
So I could cover anybody in the flat, intercepted a lot of passes out there. And quarterbacks would throw it, and all of a sudden, bam, I'm there.
You're right there.
Wow. So look at you. You had all these paths, career paths open to you. Acting, sports, and you ended up being a wildly successful singer, rock star.
No, I don't consider myself a singer.
What are you?
There was a producer. I did an album called Hang Cool Teddy Bear. And a very famous producer by the name of Rob Cavallo, who did Goo Goo Dolls, Green Day, Paramore, a lot of people. He said it best. He goes, Meatloaf is an actor who acts like he can sing.
That's
and I thought that is perfect.
And that is a lot of your songs are actually performances. You're right about that.
Well, I take every song as a script. I don't look at it as lyrics. And this entire album, because Jimmy wrote the first song when he was 19, I backstoried an actor. That's when you do a film, you backstory, so you find out who the character is. I backstoried all the characters, and they're all different, to become 19. So the entire album is sung by a 19-year-old.
And the album is called Braver Than We Are, Meatloaf's new album. All the songs by the brilliant Jim Steinman, who collaborated with Meatloaf on Bat Out of Hell.
And talking about collaborations, Springsteen is one of my all-time favorites, obviously, like everybody else. I know Mighty Max and piano player, what was his name?
Roy Bittan.
Yeah, both on Bat Out of Hell with you. You have more of those types of guys doing this album with you as well?
No, this is my band.
Just you?
That's all my band. Oh.
There you go. Look how happy you are now.
See that? This is it. This is one of the great songs on the current album.
I was taking this up the octave, and Jim said, don't do that. Don't be afraid of your low voice. Your low voice is great.
I like your low voice.
And I tell you, I think this verse that we're listening to is the best thing I have ever sung on a record. As far as from an acting standpoint, about being the absolute truth and living in that moment exactly. And this whole record is extraordinary.
This is called Only When I Feel.
Yeah.
On the
and it's got Ellen Foley and Carla DeVito.
And those Ellen Foley and Carla DeVito were respectively. The first one was on the original album.
Ellen she was my girlfriend. So in the words of Billy Joel, the reason you get in rock and roll, you get free beer and get laid.
So she joined you on this as well. She was on the original Paradise by the Dashboard Light, and Carla DeVito was on the video.
Yes, but Ellen, because Carla was on the video, Ellen never got the recognition for the song, and she was upset about it, rightly so. So to get them both to sing, I called Carla. Carla was in. Jim called Ellen. I said, what happened? And he says, call Ellen. So I called Ellen, and when I called Ellen, she was in. But it took my phone call.
It took your call. Right.
And then we did a little trick on them. We flew them basically at the same time, one from New York, one from Indiana. We were recording in Nashville, so they would land in Nashville about the same time, and they'd get to the hotel about the same time, and they did. And they were checking in at the same time, and I'm sure Carla turned and said, let's go to dinner. And the next day we had 2 cars booked. They called and said we only need 1.
Wow, that's great.
And we spent 5 days together, and
nice.
It was great.
It was bliss.
These two were,
So
like chatty Cathy's.
Right. So when you were in the car,
that's politically incorrect, by the way, but go ahead.
Well, that's him. Listening to your own thing.
Chatty Cathy's is politically incorrect.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go suck my thumb.
Oh, chatty Cathy, chatty Cathy, chatty Cathy.
And by the way, this cut we're playing, Going All the Way, features both Ellen and Carla in this particular cut.
And this album, I have never in my entire career got good reviews for a record.
This one gets great reviews.
And this record is getting incredible reviews. And it got a review in Germany in the #1 rock magazine that this song was the best duet in rock history. Wow. And it took me a minute. I'm a little confused because there's 3 people singing, but okay,
trio. Right.
I'll take it.
So when you think about that, then this your best work. You're getting great reviews. We're very happy for you, by the way, because we like you a lot. Where you are in the game, how long you've been in this game. May this possibly be the swan song? Do you even think about the future, or you say, "Hey, this is my best work. I'm okay ending it here"?
Yeah, I'm okay ending it here. The only thing I wanted it to not be broken into tracks.
Okay.
I wanted it to be one piece of music like a symphony.
That's tough today, though.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't do it with iTunes and Spotify and Apple Music and So
they screwed you guys, all you guys.
That kind of bummed me out.
Right.
Yeah, they do screw you. So I've been screwed my entire career, so I'm used to it. I'm not even bitter.
That's good.
If you put something out, you get screwed. Okay, no problem. Let's move on.
Speaking of getting screwed, Meatloaf in the studio with Bernie and Sid. The album is Braver Than We Are. You're listening to a cut right here. You talked about getting laid, and HBO just had a show on vinyl. It just got canceled. Martin Scorsese was the director, but it was about the record business back when you were in it.
Mick Jagger
in
was
the 70s.
Right.
Yeah. Mick Jagger was one of the producers on it, and Martin Scorsese. Yeah, right. I don't know if he was in it, but anyway, a lot of drugs, corruption, lunacy. Were you a part of all that? I mean, was that reflective?
I've always been very disciplined.
You have.
I can see that
because, first, I played football. And when you play football, you have to be really disciplined. I played football.
Unless you played for the
baseball.
Dallas Cowboys, then that's out the door.
No. If you were, you got to go back. If you were Bobby Lane playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers,
Pittsburgh.
You didn't go to practice and you showed up drunk and you went out and threw 5 touchdowns for 400 yards.
Right.
What put the NFL on the board was Bobby Lane and Jimmy Brown.
Yes.
Okay, so you were disciplined, and I know you have to leave, but you were going to tell us a story about the day you and your dad, who was a Dallas cop, the day Kennedy was assassinated.
I wasn't with my dad. I was with, in Dallas, I could get my driver's license early, before I was 16, if the school bus didn't come to where I lived to take me to school. And so you get this, what they call this, I forgot what it's called, some kind of license, and it allowed you only, to drive to school and back.
Right, like a worker's permit.
I never did anything. I never went and took it out on the weekend at all.
No, of course not.
And so when Kennedy was coming, they just said, if you got a note from your parents, you can get out of school. So all the schools were empty. Love Field was packed. And my friend Jimmy McWhorter's father worked at Love Field, and he knew what gate Kennedy was going to come out of when he left. And so we drove over there, and 3 of us were standing there. And Jimmy McWhorter, my good friend Billy Slocum, he was a roommate in college, and best looking, best this, all of Mayor played football at the University of Houston, all everything. Well, he went over and shook his hand.
Wow.
And before that, Jimmy McWhorter asked the police, there's like 3 policemen standing there. Jimmy McWhorter, I almost fainted. He goes, "What would you do if I told you I had a gun in my pocket?"
Oh.
And I went, "Mike, what the hell? What are you doing?" And the cop said, "Hey, as long as you don't pull it out, nothing. You pull it out, you're dead." And I went, "Oh, that's a good answer."
I like that.
And so we were going to we knew some people at Market Hall where he was going to give his speech. So we were going to Mickey Mantle Bowling Alley for lunch. And the entrance that we usually go into had been closed. There was a receptionist sitting there, and she said, "The president's been shot." And I said, "Well, stop it." And it was Jimmy got on the little, radio, and he said, "It's true." So we go running through the parking lot screaming this, and all these adults are screaming, "You kids, shut up and stop this stuff." So we go, "Where are they going to take him?" We went, "Parkland." Bam, we're down. We're not very far from Parkland.
The hospital.
Yeah, Parkland Hospital. We're going down a road called Stemmons Freeway. And this guy is jumping back and forth in the middle of the road, waving his arms back and forth, back and forth. I'm going, what is this idiot doing? So I'm changing lanes. He's jumping over. Eventually, I have to stop. He comes up to my side of my window and puts a badge up. And I don't know what he said. He said, "Scoot over. I'm taking your car." And so I'm freaking out. We're all freaking out. And we drive into Parkland, and we park, and he says, "Do not get out of the car." And we got there before Kennedy got there.
And then he showed up right after you actually saw oh my God.
I saw the cars come in.
Wow.
And we saw Jackie stand up. And we didn't see them take
Not
JFK.
So Jackie and the governor, John Connolly.
I saw John Connolly stand up. I saw Jackie stand up.
Wow. That is some story.
And eventually, after about an hour, we said, "Let's get out of the car."
Out of here, right?
And no, we couldn't leave.
Okay.
They wouldn't let anybody leave the hospital.
I mean, imagine you're a teenager and this.
And we were supposed to be at football practice. But
you didn't realize the immensity of even what the hell was going on, right? Like,
nobody believed us that that's what happened until that night. And every once in a while, when you see retrospectives on it on TV, every once in a while you'll see me standing there as this 300-pound little fat kid.
Really?
Standing there, and it shows my friend Billy Slocum, who was really outgoing, said, "And here's a local teenager talking to the senator from Illinois."
Check this out. Wow.
And we were there when they came out and said at 1:23 or 1:22, whatever it was,
that he was gone.
The president passed away.
Amazing.
And people went. I mean, it was like people were falling on the ground,
crying,
people
hysterical.
Hysterical.
But that's
And
quite
the guy came back and offered us $100, and we said, "No, we're not. We're not taking it."
Right.
He said, "Okay, I'll give you $5." I said, "Okay." So we tore the $5 bill into 3 pieces, and we all took a piece.
And you still
and
have
the other 2, no, mine got lost in a flood.
Oh.
And the other 2 guys still have theirs.
Wow.
So we can look for Meatloaf in the video,
Yes.
in the old archive footage, I should say.
Every once in a while.
Who knew? That's an
That's a pretty
amazing
amazing story.
Listen,
Yeah.
Meatloaf.
It comes up. I see it. Every time I see it come on, I stop to see if they're going to show me.
We're going to look for 300 pounds.
Just look for me. I'm on the end. And I'm about 5'10", weigh about 305 pounds. You can't miss me. and about 1 out of every 10 or 12, you'll see me.
Wow, amazing. Listen, the album Meatloaf is Braver Than We Are. All songs by Jim Steinman, the great Jim Steinman.
And I have a doctor's prescription for this record. And it is this. And this came from a lady in Amazon, a review on Amazon. She goes, "I listened to it once, I hated it. I listened to it again, I liked it. 3rd time I went, wow. 4th time, she went, this is pure genius." She'd originally given it 1 star. She changed it to 5 stars.
Wow.
So my doctor's prescription is, buy it, listen to it once. You may love it on the first listen. A lot of people do. If you don't, listen to it 4 times during the day, and go to sleep.
Listen, it sounds just one of the cuts we played.
That sounds great.
Operatic. And,
sounds great.
And it says on the CD, this record is explicit and politically incorrect.
Yeah, politically
So
incorrect.
That's us.
Braver,
that is us.
Braver Than We Are by Meatloaf. Meatloaf, a great conversation. Thank you for coming in studio.
My
We're
pleasure.
honored.
Thank you.
On Bernie and Sid, back after this.